Okay, welcome back. For the second part of this little assignment, we're going to be taking this guy here, this layout, 8.5 by 11 layout, and we're going to be applying this design to CD Silk. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to make up a new file. It can be 8.5 by 11 if you wish. Just make sure you have everything set to a decent measurement, inches or millimeters, because sometimes it gets kind of confusing. Actually, in this case, we're going to need millimeters, because we have to make some circles using the millimeter measurement. And we're gonna make the layer 1, we're gonna name this template. Gonna make another layer if we wish for images, another layer for text. Okay, so go to the template, we're gonna go ahead and place the DVD label template. Again, make sure this thing is scaled at 100%. How do I check that? I get my white selection tool, I click on the inside of this thing, and you'll know you're doing it right because you get that hand. Click on the hand. This stuff up here should say 100%. For example, you could mistakenly place this guy and just maybe draw a box like that. Well, that's going to shrink it down to fit that box, and you see it says 100% there, but if I go in and get my white arrow, click on the inside, that's the actual scale. It's at 29.95% of its original size. So just so you know. So anyway, once that's set up, I'm going to squish this over like so, just so I have this kind of set up. I'm going to go down to display performance, make sure it's high quality, and I'm going to lock that layer. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I got to make a circle in order to contain my actual size, CD circle, the artwork. I don't really know what it is, the right across here, the measurement. I could guess and kind of measure it inside InDesign if I want, but the best thing to do is open up the actual Illustrator file, which happens to be right here. So if I was to click on the actual circle itself, I have to unlock the template. It's telling me it's 117 millimeters. It's a circle, so the width and the height are the same. So it's 117 millimeters across. So then I go back to InDesign, and then I'm going to go to my images. And what it really helps to do right now is actually go in here, get real close as you can, 4,000%, it's nice, and draw a ruler. And line it up right smack on the crosshairs of the template. And that's going to give you a point to draw your circle from. So then you squish out like this, get your circle tool, ellipse frame tool. It doesn't have to be huge because you're going to go in here and make it in millimeters. 117 by 1117. There you go. So now this is the actual container, and this is going to be exactly the same diameter as the template circle because we went into the actual template and took the measurements. So there's my images set up. If I want to set any text up, say I might want to do a text, well, here's the cool thing. You want to do text on a path, well, you've already got your circle made, because you got to do a circle, a path on a circle in here. So you already got a circle made from the images, so you can copy that guy, go up to your text layer. You can do paste. Paste will just come copied anywhere, or you can do paste in place, which is going to give you that. So that gives you a nice, and you can scale it down. Oops. Scaling on the fit. When I'm setting text itself, what I do is I actually give the text itself a stroke around it, and I'm going to color this stroke with some crazy pink color, and I'm going to make it really big. So this is actually just for reference, so I can see where on earth this path is. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my text, my type tool. I'm going to select type on path. Make sure that guy's selected, and whatever you see this little plus, that means that's where you're going to click it and type. And then you type away. And my text, for some reason right now, is defaulting to the wonderful transparent white option. And when it comes in, it's going to be left aligned, and it's also going to be up at the top. If you center it, for example, if I center this thing, it's going to bring the text all the way down to the bottom. Why? Because you've got these guys up at the top, and these guys are your okay, this is your beginning and end point. This is the container of this text. So this text, if I was to move this around, and it gets really finicky, so you have to have patience. If I was to move this thing all the way over here, see how the text itself scoots around? If I was to move this over here, and I was to start typing, the text will only run as far as these little containers will allow it. You see right down here you've got this, I'll zoom in here, you got this little red box that's telling me that there's more text in there. It's that these beginning and end points aren't letting more text go in. So you see there's the text, I scoosh it back, then it cuts the text off. So this is like just your text beginning and end points. And if you start typing on a path and you see it gets kind of weird, you can't see anything, it's probably because you've got these guys have to be extended. So when you're setting text on a path, the easiest thing to do, I'm just going to get them back over here. If you want it centered, just select the rotate tool and rotate this thing around so it's up on top. It's the fastest and easiest way to tackle that. So that's text on a path. And then once you're done, you can go back here and make sure to take off that stroke. So that's all you see. So there you go. So you kind of have this stuff set up first, and actually it's kind of easier to set all the stuff up first and then just drop everything in the end. So now we've got this stuff set up. I got to make sure to save this. Okay, so now we have to go over into, well, we've got to go into design now, and we're looking at this. I got to snag this text, and I got to snag this information here. I don't need the image because I have already made a version of that, so I'm just going to take that one instead. So there's my text. I can't really see anything right now because everything's set in white. That's okay. Just going to kind of get this stuff somewhat set up here. I'm going to group this together, move that in there. Okay, so it's pretty much set up. Now I got to go back to my now depending on if I want to get a spot color or a full color job, this is where it gets different. If it was a spot color job, I'd have to I'm going to go into Photoshop and make my spot colors, which I'm going to do because this is a spot color job. If it was a full color job, I'd just go ahead, drop in my Photoshop file that I already had made, save it, we're done. So anyway, oh yes, and by the way, make sure everything's CMYK. Right now, this stuff in Photoshop actually is, I'm going to close that out, open the new one. Interesting. Open up my Jewel. Right now this thing is RGB. Make sure to change it to the CMYK color space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here, and again what a lot of people do is just go in here, image mode, CMYK. Don't do that because you might mess up the colors. Do this instead. Go under here, you want to merge visible. Once that's done, then you can go down here in mode, CMYK. And you see there is a bit of a color shift in the blues, but it's not as bad as just going through here instead. So once that's done, CMYK, go ahead. Usually when it's flattened, I name it like flat, and you can go CMYK just so you know what's going on. Come back to these files later on, you wonder why on earth you have so many. If you put little descriptors on the end, it really explains things. Okay, so that's CMYK, so actually we're going to go back here and we're going to revert this because we need the original.